It is a Saturday morning. You are in the bathroom with a brush in one hand and that same crooked neck bottle of toilet cleaner in the other. The one that cost you $2.67 last month, and the month before that. You squeeze the blue gel under the rim. You let it sit the way the label tells you. You scrub until your wrist is tired. You flush, and the ring is still there. That chalky white line sitting right at the waterline, staring back at you like it owns the place. So you did what most people do. You went back to the store and bought a second product, the one in the spray bottle, the one that says it handles lime and hard water, $4.48. You sprayed it on, you waited, you scrubbed again. And the ring got a little lighter, maybe, for a week. Then it came right back. $7.15 between the two bottles. Your knees hurt, and you are no closer to solving the problem than you were last season. Now here is what nobody in that cleaning aisle is going to tell you. There is a way to attack that ring that costs about 50 cents, not $50, 50 cents, using something the careful old folks have kept in the pantry since before any of those bottles existed. And the only reason you were never taught it is the plainest reason there is. There is no money in teaching a family to clean a toilet with something that costs a penny per ounce. There is a great deal of money in selling them 2 bottles every month forever. So the old method just sat there, quiet, in farmhouse kitchens and in the memories of women who raised families on almost nothing. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what that ring is, exactly why it keeps coming back, exactly how to loosen it and scrub it away for pennies, and exactly when this method is enough and when it is not. No miracle, no gimmick, just the chemistry, the steps, the cost, and the honest truth. I want to be straight with you before I go further. That bottle you keep buying, the one with the crooked neck and the blue gel, is mostly a stronger acid in a plastic squeeze bottle with a label on it. And the separate spray you bought for lime and scale, another $4.48, is more acid in another bottle. You have been paying for acid twice, in 2 bottles, when the cheapest acid in your pantry has been sitting there doing nothing. That is not a guess. That is the chemistry, and I will show you exactly how it works. By the end of this video, you will know why that ring keeps coming back. You will know the one cheap thing that loosens it. You will know exactly how to scrub it away step by step and what it costs. And you will know, plainly, when this method is enough and when it is not. I am not going to sell you a miracle. I am going to hand you the plain truth and let the figures do the talking. My name is Dot. I am 72 years old, and I have kept a clean house my whole life the way my mother kept hers, with a few cheap staples, a little patience, and an honest understanding of what each thing can and cannot do. My mother raised 6 of us in Kansas on next to nothing, and every surface in that house was clean. She did not have 11 bottles under her sink. She had vinegar, she had baking soda, she had a lemon now and then, and she had the good sense to know what worked and to say plainly when something did not. I share these methods because last month I watched my own daughter spend $140 on cleaning products, and I spend $8. That bothers me, not because she is foolish, but because nobody taught her what my mother taught me. Now, before I show you what to do, I need you to understand why it works, because that is what tells you what to expect and what not to expect. And I will not have you kneeling on that bathroom floor disappointed because somebody on the internet promised you a miracle and handed you a gimmick. That ring in your toilet is not dirt, it is mineral. The United States Geological Survey defines water hardness as dissolved calcium and magnesium, and those are the minerals in your water supply. Every time water sits in that bowl, a little bit evaporates or settles, and a thin layer of calcium and magnesium gets left behind on the porcelain. Day after day, week after week, that layer builds. That is your ring. It is not filth, and it is not a stain in the way most people think of stains. It is rock being laid down, slowly, by your own water. Now here is the part that matters. Calcium carbonate, that is one of the common forms this scale takes, is dissolved by acid. The American Chemical Society explains this plainly. Acetic acid reacts with calcium carbonate and breaks it down, releasing carbon dioxide gas in the process. That is the fizz you see. Vinegar is acetic acid, about 5% strength in the ordinary white distilled vinegar you buy at any grocery store. So when you pour vinegar onto that mineral ring, you are putting a mild acid directly onto calcium deposits, and the acid goes to work softening and loosening them. What that means in plain terms is this. Vinegar will soften mineral scale. It will loosen the bond between the deposit and the porcelain. It will make the ring easier to scrub away. What it will not do is make the ring vanish instantly, and I want you to hear that clearly. This is a 5% acid. The toilet cleaner in that blue bottle uses hydrochloric acid, which is a much stronger acid, and that is exactly why it can work faster on heavy deposits. The vinegar is gentler, cheaper, and slower. That is not a failure. That is just honest chemistry, and a person who understands it makes better choices. One more thing before we get to the work. I have seen people on the internet tell you that vinegar disinfects your toilet. It does not. The Environmental Protection Agency does not recognize common household vinegar as a disinfectant, and the Centers for Disease Control draws a clear line between cleaning, removing dirt and deposits, and disinfecting, which means killing specific germs on a surface. Vinegar is a cleaner for mineral scale. If you also need to disinfect, you do that as a separate step later, with a product that is actually registered for the job. I tell you this now because I would rather you trust me for the whole video than find out later I skipped something. If this is the kind of teaching you want, the old ways that keep real money in your pocket, with the figures and the honest truth, I hope you will subscribe. I put one of these out every week, and every one of them is built the same way. What it costs, what it saves, what it does, and what it does not do. Now let me show you the method. Here is what you need, and here is what each thing costs. First, white distilled vinegar. A gallon of great value distilled white vinegar is listed right now at $3.94. That gallon is 128 fluid ounces. 1 cup is 8 ounces, so a 1-cup pour costs you about 25 cents, and even a generous 2-cup pour is about 50 cents. That is your real working ingredient in this video, and it is the only one that matters for the chemistry. Second, if you want to include the foil step, and I will explain in a moment why I call it optional, a standard roll of store-brand aluminum foil is about $1.82. You will tear off roughly 18 to 24 inches and crumple it into a loose ball. That is a small fraction of the roll, so the foil cost per cleaning is somewhere between 5 and 15 cents. Call it a dime. Third, you need the toilet brush you already own. I am not going to put a price on your own brush. And fourth, a pair of rubber gloves if you want them. Most folks have a pair under the sink already. Your total buy-in from scratch, 1 gallon of vinegar and 1 roll of foil, is about $5.76. That is enough material for many cleanings, not just one. Your cost for a single session is about 30 cents on the low end, and 65 cents if you pour generously and use a good piece of foil. Now the steps. I am going to walk you through these in order, and I want you to follow the order because each step sets up the next one. Step 1. Look in the bowl. If there is any blue cleaner, any bleach, any toilet cleaning product sitting in that water, flush it out first. Run a flush or two. If you cleaned with bleach recently, wait, ventilate the bathroom, and rinse before you do this method. Now listen, this is important. Mixing bleach with an acid, any acid, including vinegar, can release chlorine gas, and poison control is explicit about how dangerous that is. This is the one safety rule in this whole video that I will not soften. Do not pour vinegar into a bowl that has bleach or bleach residue in it. Flush it clean first. Step 2. Get the vinegar where the scale is. If the ring is above the standing water line, pour 1 to 2 cups of vinegar slowly around that stain and up under the rim. Let it run down and cling to the mineral deposit as long as it can. If the ring is right at the water line, and most of them are, you have a choice. You can push some of the standing water down the drain by giving a few strong strokes with the brush. Or you can shut off the water supply valve behind the toilet and flush once to lower the water level. Either way, what you want is for the vinegar to sit directly on the mineral shelf instead of being diluted by a full bowl of water. Contact is everything here. The longer the acid touches the deposit, the more it softens. Step 3. Wait. This is the step most people skip, and it is the step that makes the difference. I want you to leave that vinegar sitting for at least 1 hour. State guidance for cleaning hard water deposits with vinegar commonly says 30 to 60 minutes, and I lean toward the longer end because patience costs nothing, and it lets the acid do more of the work before you ever pick up a brush. Go fold laundry. Go read something. Let the chemistry do the first half of the job. Step 4. Come back with your toilet brush, not the foil, the brush, and scrub the ring. This is the honesty step most of those internet videos leave out. After an hour of soaking in vinegar, a light to moderate mineral ring will often break up under a regular toilet brush. If it does, you are done. Flush, inspect, and move on with your day. The brush was enough. The vinegar was the real worker, and you did not need anything else. I tell you this because I am not married to a gimmick. If the simple tool finishes the job, the simple tool finishes the job. Step 5. If the ring is still holding on after the brush, and with heavier, older deposits it may be, this is where the aluminum foil comes in, and I want you to hear how I talk about it. Tear off about 18 to 24 inches of foil. Crumple it loosely into a ball, not tight and hard, but soft enough to shape in your hand. Dip it in the vinegar that is still sitting in the bowl and use small, light circles on the mineral deposit only. I am not going to tell you that aluminum foil cannot scratch porcelain because I cannot make that promise honestly. What I will tell you is this. Vitreous china, that is the material most toilets are made of, is a hard glazed surface, and a soft ball of foil with light pressure is gentler than a lot of what people use. But gentle is the key word. Test a small spot first. Let the vinegar and the time do most of the work. If you find yourself bearing down hard, stop. Soak again. The foil is a helper, not a hero, and if you have to muscle through it, you need more soak time, not more force. Step 6. Flush, look at the ring, and be honest about what you see. If it is lighter but not gone, do not panic and do not reach for a harder tool. Repeat the soak. Pour another cup of vinegar, wait another hour, and do the brush then foil pass one more time. A second round with patience will often finish what the first round started. That is a stronger teaching choice than pretending the first pass always wins. And here is where I tell you the truth the internet usually skips. If 2 full rounds of vinegar and gentle scrubbing still leave a thick, brown, crusted ring, one that has been building for years, then you are dealing with scale that a 5% acid may not beat in one sitting. At that point, I would reach for a stronger commercial bowl cleaner made for lime and rust, or a wet pumice stone used carefully and gently on the porcelain, because now you have a job that needs a stronger tool. American Standard and Kohler both acknowledge that in some cases, a stiff brush or even a wet pumice stone may be needed for stubborn deposits, and they also warn you to test first and use care with anything abrasive. That is the honest scope of this method. It is the cheaper, gentler, first thing to try. It is not the fastest thing on earth, and it is not a cure for every ring that ever formed. Step 7. Once the scale is gone, if you also want to disinfect that bowl, Do it as a separate step with an EPA-registered disinfectant following the label. Do not blend those two jobs together. The vinegar-handled mineral scale. Germ killing is a different question with a different answer, and I respect you enough to keep those straight. Now let me say something plain about what not to do, because there is a lot of bad advice floating around. Do not ball up dry foil and grind hard on a dry bowl. Do not skip the vinegar soak and go straight to scrubbing. You are just fighting rock with effort, and the effort loses. Do not pour vinegar into a bowl full of bleach. Do not leave acid sitting on surrounding fixtures and finishes without rinsing. And do not believe anyone who tells you that stuffing aluminum foil into the toilet tank somehow keeps the bowl clean on its own. That is not how any of this works. The real mechanism here is acid-softened mineral plus gentle mechanical lift. Everything else is noise. One more thing about that ring. If the color is not chalky white or tan, but deep black or reddish, you may not be looking at ordinary hard water scale. A public water utility in New York notes that black toilet stains can come from mold or manganese deposits, and rust stains come from iron in the water. Vinegar may help some with these, but do not expect the same results. Know what you are looking at before you decide what to throw at it. My mother did not have a glass cooktop or a modern toilet with a brand name on the side, but she understood something that has not changed in 100 years. Mineral scale yields to acid. Scrubbing works better after a soak. And most families now buy a specialty bottle for a job that a cheap pantry staple could already begin doing for pennies. She did not keep a roll of aluminum foil beside the toilet in 1934, and I am not going to stand here and tell you she did. What she kept was the knowledge, the plain sense that hard water leaves hard deposits, and that the cheapest acid in the kitchen loosens them. Household aluminum foil was on the market by the 1920s, so it is the sort of thing a resourceful homemaker might have tried, and I will leave it at that. The foil is not the point. The vinegar and the understanding are the point. You are not learning a new method. You are recovering an old principle that got buried under a shelf of branded bottles. If you have hard water, and about 85% of American homes do, the ring comes back, because the minerals keep coming back. There is no one-time fix for ongoing hard water, but the ongoing habit is small. Brush the bowl once a week before the deposit has a chance to harden. Once every week or two, pour in a cup of vinegar, 25 cents, and let it sit for a while before you flush. That is the prevention rhythm, and it costs almost nothing. If your water is extremely hard and the scale shows up everywhere, the shower, the faucets, the kettle, the toilet, then the true long-game fix is a water softener, because that removes the calcium and magnesium upstream before they ever reach your fixtures. That is a bigger conversation and a bigger investment, but it is the honest answer for a house where hard water is the real whole house problem. Now let me be honest about what this method does and does not do, because that is the part that earns your trust. For a light, chalky ring from ordinary hard water, 1 hour of vinegar and a brush pass may be all you need. That is the strong case. For a moderate ring with some real buildup, expect 2 rounds: vinegar, wait, scrub, repeat. That is still a win, and it still costs less than $1. For a heavy, years-old, brown-crusted ring, vinegar is the right start, but you may need to follow it with a stronger acid cleaner or a wet pumice stone used carefully. That is the honest limit. And for stains that are not mineral at all, mold, manganese, iron rust, vinegar is a partial help at best, and the real fix is identifying the source and treating it directly. This method is also slower than that blue bottle. I said that plainly at the start, and I will say it again here, because I do not want a single person kneeling in that bathroom feeling like I lied to them. A hydrochloric acid toilet cleaner is simply more aggressive than 5% vinegar. If speed on a stubborn ring is what matters most, The bottle may be the better tool for that particular job. What the pantry method gives you is the cheapest, gentlest, first thing to try. And for most ordinary hard water rings, it is enough. The safety reminders bear repeating here at the end. Never mix vinegar with bleach or with any toilet cleaner you cannot identify. Flush and rinse first, always. Ventilate the bathroom. Vinegar is a cleaner for mineral deposits, not a disinfectant. Do not use it as one. And with any abrasive step, foil, brush, or pumice, test a small spot, use light pressure, and stop if you see any dulling, gray streaking, or change to the surface. That is how you treat a thing you do not want to replace. Now I want to take a moment because here is where it all comes together. Look at what we have walked through. You have a gallon of vinegar and a roll of foil, $5.76 from scratch, and that is enough for months of cleanings. Each session costs you somewhere between 30 and 65 cents. You know to flush the bowl clean first, pour the vinegar where the scale is, wait at least an hour, try the brush first, use the foil gently if you need it, and repeat before you escalate. You know what vinegar does and what it does not do. You know the foil is a helper, not a guarantee. And you know when to reach for something stronger without feeling like you failed. The honest math is plain. Your buy-in, 1 gallon of vinegar and 1 roll of foil, is $5.76. Your per session cost is about 30 to 65 cents. A single 24-ounce bottle of that blue toilet cleaner is $2.67. And if you also buy the separate hard water spray, that is another $4.48. So one round of the modern bottles is over $7, and neither one teaches you a thing about why the ring forms or how to prevent it. The pantry method costs pennies per attempt and under $6 to stock from scratch. And the vinegar does not run out after one bottle. A gallon gives you many passes. Over a year of monthly cleanings, you are looking at roughly $4 to $8 for the vinegar method versus $30 to $80 or more for the bottle and spray habit, depending on how often you buy and how many products you rotate through. On a fixed income, that gap is real money, and it adds up exactly the way every other small overspend adds up. Quietly, steadily, and in the wrong direction. There is no money in teaching a family that hard water scale is mostly calcium, and that a bottle of pantry vinegar can soften it. There is money in selling a toilet cleaner, a lime scale spray, a rim treatment, and the next bottle after that. So the simple old method sits quiet in farmhouses and old-timers' memories, and most families keep buying bottles for a problem that starts with cheap acid and a little patience. This is not a conspiracy. It is plainer than that. When a thing can be started with what you already have, nobody has much reason to advertise it to you. 2 generations of families got a little more comfortable, stopped passing along the old kitchen knowledge, and the understanding quietly faded until someone looked at the $7 pair of bottles and remembered that vinegar exists. You can be the one who never paid. This was never really about a toilet ring. It is about whether your home is something you keep buying for or something you understand. A family that knows mineral scale yields to acid, and patience does not just save on the toilet. They save on the shower head, the faucet, the kettle, and the clogged rim holes that make the flush weak. One principle, understood, replaces a shelf of bottles, and the skill stays with you. That is what the old folks meant by self-reliance. Not doing without. Knowing enough that you do not need to depend on the store. Here's what I want you to do. Tonight, after supper, go look at that ring. Decide whether it is chalky mineral, dark biological staining, or rust. Just look and name what you see. This week, do one full round. Flush the bowl, pour in a cup or 2 of vinegar, wait 1 hour, and scrub with the brush. If the brush does not finish it, try the foil gently. See what one honest session does. This month, start the weekly brush habit and an occasional vinegar maintenance soak. Once every week or two, a cup of vinegar, let it sit, flush. That is 25 cents and 5 minutes. This season, if scale is showing up everywhere in the house, shower, faucets, kettle, toilet, check your water hardness and decide whether a softener is worth the investment. That is the bigger fix for a bigger problem, and it is worth knowing about even if you do not act on it right away. Now I want to hear from you, and I mean this. What is the household stain or buildup you are most tired of throwing bottles at? Is it the shower glass, the faucet crust, the kitchen sink, or something else entirely? Tell me in the comments. I am always looking for the next one to teach. And if your mother or your grandmother had a cheap bathroom or kitchen cleaning method they swore by, the thing she did with salt or lemon or baking soda or something I have never heard of, please share it. These little inherited methods get lost when nobody writes them down, and I read every single one. Next time, I'm going to show you the same principle working on a different expense: mineral-clogged shower heads, faucet crust, and kettle scale. Same cheap acid, same patience, same low-cost prevention, different fixture. Kohler themselves will tell you that hard water deposits clog toilet rim holes and shower head nozzles, and the fix is the same old understanding. Subscribe so you do not miss it. Until then, check that ring tonight. Flush the bowl clean. Pour your vinegar, let it sit. Brush first, foil gently if you need it, and repeat before you reach for the bottle. Keep a gallon of vinegar under the sink and a small habit in your week, and let the cheap acid and a little patience do what the old careful folks always knew it could. That is how the careful old folks kept a home clean on almost nothing. That is how it is still done in any home that remembers.